Hey, welcome to another episode on the Growth Leadership Cafe. My name is Adesawa, and on this channel, I talk about all things personal and organizational leadership. So if this is your first time coming across my YouTube channel, you're very welcome. It means that you're in search for tips and tricks on how to build your capacity as a leader or in leading your teams. So you are in the right space and in great hands. For my avid subscribers, thank you so much for sticking with me and for watching week to week. You are the real MVPs. And if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, I would say do so. Click the subscribe button down below so you get a ding every time I post a video, which is every week, Tuesday. So, as the topic rightly says, I am speaking about how to give constructive feedback. Now, constructive, I don't know, means different things to different people, but I want to break that down and what that looks like and how to do it differently, how to do it better. So let's just begin by breaking down the concepts of constructive feedback. Now, feedback is essentially your response to something, right? Someone does something or they didn't do something and you're responding to it. So you're giving feedback. But let's play with the word constructive for a moment. Now, Google defines the word constructive as tending to build up or to serve something purposeful. Now, and other synonyms for the word on Google is helpful, encouraging, productive, positive. So essentially, this means that feedback should be positive, it should be encouraging. So it is not to tear people down, but to build them up. Okay? So this means for me, as someone who's worked in leadership, is the word constructive means, first of all, thoughtful. So it is deliberate. So I've thought about it. I know what my key message is. And most importantly is my delivery. So how I say it matters a lot. So putting those two concepts together, for me, constructive feedback means thoughtful, meaningful, purposeful information or feedback to somebody else that is delivered properly. Okay. Now, when people say constructive feedback, it doesn't always mean it is used only for as a tool of correction. So it can also be used as a tool for praise. So if someone does something right, you want to acknowledge it, you want to name it, identify it, and tell them what exactly they did right, because you're building them up. So you're telling them what they need to keep doing going forward, like what's working, right? So they need to maintain that or at least up level that. Okay. But most times when we use the word constructive feedback, it's always, oh, someone has done something wrong, so I need to find a nice way to tell them that they did something wrong. Not always, right? But again, it's the delivery that matters. So why is this important? One, it helps you build trust, and helps strengthen your relationship with people. What does that look like? If people feel like, okay, I do something right, I'm going to be acknowledged and given proper credit for it. And if I do something wrong, I'm going to be spoken to like a human being and corrected, so I know how to do it differently in the future, right? That's the whole point of feedback. Secondly, it creates a sense of safety. People will feel safe enough to make mistakes with you because they know that you will correct them with love, and they don't have that fear of retribution or judgment or shaming because they've done something wrong or they made a mistake. So they're going to feel safe enough to make a mistake and own up to their mistake. No one is going to be hiding, lying just because they want to protect themselves, because they're afraid of the outcome of what you will do when you find out that was their error. Okay. And so it's very important that you're creating an enabling environment for people to make mistakes with you and be corrected, because how people receive information is very crucial, right? How they're interpreting what you're passing across to them. But even if you're saying the best things and the most meaningful things, if your delivery is poor, you've lost that person, right? That has clouded whatever it is that you were trying to pass across, or whatever your key message was, if your delivery is poor. So when they're safe with you, they're also going to feel safe enough to take the initiative. So they're going to be okay trying new things. So even if it's something that they've not done in the past, they're willing to say, you know what, Adesoa, I haven't done that, but let me try. Okay, so you're going to start building leaders within your team. Lastly is you're going to build their confidence in themselves and in you. So when someone feels like they can make a mistake without fear of judgment or punishment or shaming, they're going to be able to acknowledge, when they've made an error. They're going to trust that even if they make a mistake, you're going to correct them, support them, or at least point them in the direction of where they can get that help. Ultimately, it's to everyone's benefit. Everybody wins in this situation. So why not do it? So what are some strategies you can use to start having or offering better constructive feedback? One is doing it early. So that means don't wait till 6 months or 1 year down the line during a performance review. You work with your team every day, so your feedback should be given every day. So, and you want to catch things early. So like nip it in the bud real quick, as opposed to when things have gone on for so long and just exacerbated, and it's just worse than it should have been if you had spoken up early enough. And it should be ongoing. So like I said, you work with your team every day, your feedback should be every day. If you catch a mistake, like, hey, I noticed this thing happened, can we work on this here and there so it doesn't turn out into this? So you're catching things. Because you're also their eyes too, because sometimes when we do things, we don't sometimes see the flaws in it, and we need other people's eyes and ears to catch certain things that kind of fly over us. So I would say first strategy is doing it early and consistently. So it should be ongoing. The second strategy is be kind with your words and be honest. So when I say be kind, is your delivery, so how you say things. So you don't go to Darren and say, Darren, that was a dumb thing to do. You shouldn't have done that. You can say, Darren, I think we made a mistake here. What do you think? What happened here? Get their perspective on what they think happened, and have a dialogue on what is the alternative, what's the solution to that. And if you have the answer to that, that is a good space to tell them. That is a good space to share what your recommendations are for best practices, or what you've done, or how you've applied it in the past and the outcome that you got. Because again, you got into a leadership position, whether as an entrepreneur or in paid employment, based on you doing that thing. You have experience doing it. You've become an expert in it. So allow them to also become an expert in that thing. And that means you coaching them and not shaming them, or penalizing them, or making them look bad or unintelligent or inadequate because they made a mistake. Okay? So be kind with your words, correct them with love, but be honest. Don't sugarcoat it and say, even if you know that was a colossal mistake, and you'd be like, oh yeah, we shouldn't have done that, but it's okay. Like, that's not helpful. Okay, so Tell them specifically, okay, this was like, name the mistake, name it, and have a conversation of what could be done differently. You don't want to force your ideas on people. So even if you know what the right answer is, them a chance to share as well, because you hired professionals, right? Professionals make mistakes too. So there's nobody that is without error. We're humans. So you hire professionals that have intellect, that have a brain. So how about it be a brainstorming session of what we could do differently? And let it be a we factor, not a you factor. You did something wrong. We did this wrong, because ultimately you are the lead of that team. One person's mistake is everybody's mistake. When your team fails, or one person fails and your team fails, when one person in your team fails, everybody failed. Okay, so if a mistake happens, yeah, this was our error. Maybe there's something you as a leader could have done to mitigate that, or to avoid that risk, but it has happened. So there's no point blaming anybody. Okay, so be kind with your words, but don't lie or like soften it. So you want to massage their egos, or you don't want to hurt their feelings. There's nothing worse than giving unclear or misleading feedback. Like, they're going to leave your office more confused than they came in. So like, just be honest and say what was the error there, and have a conversation about what we could do differently going forward. Okay? And so in also doing that, in you naming the mistake, make sure you have proof of it. So come with your facts. Don't just be doing things based on feelings, right? I can't see your feelings, but you can express the thought or the feelings that you have with your words. Or you can demonstrate that with the numbers or with the feedback that someone said, or whatever that is. But come with your facts. Come correct with your facts. And the last thing, and the biggest thing I would say, is be very specific. So if they made a mistake, like, name the specific thing. If someone did something right, you'll say, oh, you did great. What was great? What specifically was great? So name that specific thing that it did right. So for example, Paul delivered an equipment to your customer, and so you got feedback from the customer that Paul was really patient, that even though his team or their team had lots of questions, Paul was very patient, that they really appreciated his customer service and just going above and beyond to make sure that they understood the item that you guys were transferring ownership to them for. So when you're acknowledging what Paul did right, don't just say, oh, the customers were happy, you did great. What did Paul do great? So Paul gave exceptional customer service. So, the customers were really pleased with your customer service. They appreciated your patience in explaining the functionality of the equipment. So you've explained, you've named, they appreciated his customer service. They were very pleased with his patience and how they felt like Paul went above and beyond. You've named it. So Paul will leave that room knowing that patience is something that I do well, and people appreciate that. So if Paul is doing something else in the future, he's going to know that, I need to be patient, or I need to do this more, because you've named what he's doing well. Same thing, if someone does something wrong, name it. It doesn't have to be a blame game and say, you did this wrong, you could have done this better. It's okay, this has happened. Okay, what can we do about it? We know this is the mistake. We know that this is what the actions that translated to this. What can we do going forward? So be very solution oriented. Don't latch onto the problem and just overflog how Paul did something wrong and how it was bad. Like, I'm not saying don't be honest, but like, don't overflog the issue. Like, it has already been established that is the problem. So move past it. What's the solution? How can we move forward from this without making Paul feel stupid, inadequate, or unintelligent? And if you're trying to correct a behavior in a group setting, maybe you're at a meeting and you feel like, the mistake that happened, in correcting that mistake for the benefit of everyone, you want to say it out at the meeting. You can name it without naming Paul as the person that did something wrong, because ultimately it's your team, is what the team did. It's not really about the individual. You can always call Paul aside and say, Paul, let's have a conversation about this, but in the presence of others, like, don't shame Paul and make him look so stupid in the presence of everybody else. One, you're going to be telling Paul that he can't trust you when he makes a mistake. So in the future, he makes a mistake again, Paul is going to lie. Paul is going to deny it. Paul is not going to own up to his mistake. And that's not what you want. You don't want to be removed from your team when people are hiding things from you and you are completely unaware of what's really going on. So you can address it in the groups and like, oh, this happened, and this is something that I would like us to do differently going forward. Based on my experience, this is how I did it. This was the method that I applied, and it turned out well. Okay, Paul is going to be appreciative that you didn't make him look so bad in front of everybody else. Everybody else in the room too is going to know that they can trust you, because I'm sure it's possible some of them know that it was Paul's fault, but the mere fact that you did not pinpoint Paul and say, Paul, it was your fault why this didn't happen, they're noticing that, and they're going to feel safe enough to own up to their own mistakes in the future. So the last things I want to talk about is, what are the common mistakes that people make even when trying to make an effort to give constructive feedback. So the first is, don't try to force your method on people. Yes, you are the lead. You know that process in and out. You know the back and front and center to it. And so you already probably have an understanding of some of the best approaches, but you want to develop people to be able to think and problem solve, right? Not you spoon feeding people the answers constantly. At some point, they're going to have that dependency relationship with you that, oh, I'm going to meet Paul or meet Adesso, and Adesso will tell me the answers. I don't need to think or use my brain to problem solve things, so let it be a dialogue. So if something happens, like I said, have a conversation. Okay, this has happened. What can we do differently? And share your own input at that point on what you've done or what you've noticed is maybe an industry standard that works. Secondly is, don't call people out in front of everybody else. It's not a blame game. Don't shame people. Like it really just tears down their confidence, and they're not going to want to try again, right? Because they know that, okay, yeah, I made a mistake and that ended badly, It will give them, like, you not naming them in the presence of everybody else, even if you have a private conversation about it and directly that you've addressed that issue specifically with that staff or that team member, in the presence of everybody else, please don't shame one specific person. At the end of the day, it's a team effort. There might also have other unforeseen or unanticipated things that happened that contributed to why you had the outcome that you had. So think about your people. So like, serve your people, empower them, and not just be so focused on the outputs. Because when your people are confident in you and they trust you and they feel safe enough to explore and try different things, that translates into the outputs that you get to. That is reflected in the outputs of your work as well. So really focus on the people and not just the outputs, because the people, when you take care of the people, they take care of the outputs. Okay? But if someone does something right, give them praise, sing their praises. Let it be known that, it was this person that really helped out, but the other part is a tad negative, and it doesn't help for group morale when you're shaming one person or the other, because everybody else is going to feel like, oh, when is it going to be my turn to get shamed and, put on the hot seat like this? Okay. That really brings me to the end of this vlog. If you really benefited or took some valuable things out of this, give this video a like and let me know that you support what I'm doing and it's valuable to you. And share your thoughts with me below. Is this something that you're having a hard time with as well, in just really articulating yourself in a way that is respectful, it's friendly, it's non-threatening, it's creating a safe environment for people to be themselves around you? And let me know, and let's see how we can support each other. I can also respond to your comments as well. And if you'd really like the content that you're getting here, subscribe and help that random individual out on the internet who is trying to put valuable content out there. Thank you so much for listening. If you have topics that you would like me to cover, shoot me an email. Connect with me on all of my social media platforms. You can find that down in the info section under this video. And take care. Stay safe out there. Bye for now.